Last time, we made a claim that should have bothered you. We said a quantum computer works by letting possibilities interfere with one another. And interference requires that a single object somehow travels more than one path at the same time. That is an enormous thing to be asked to believe. So today, we are not going to argue about it. We are going to run the experiment. A card with two thin slits cut in it, something to fire tiny particles at it, and a screen behind to catch them. Simple enough to build on a kitchen table, performed for 200 years, and the result is so strange it broke the physics that came before it. A simple lab setup drawn left to right, a small emitter labeled particle source, a card with two vertical slits labeled two slits, and a tall, blank screen behind labeled screen. Start with what you already expect. We fire small particles, one kind is an electron, at the card. Some sail through the left slit, some through the right, the rest bounce off. So on the screen behind, you should get two stripes, one behind each opening. It is spray paint through two gaps in a fence. Every instinct you have says two bands. Hold that prediction. Spray paint being sprayed through two gaps in a fence, leaving exactly two solid painted stripes on the wall behind, labeled what you expect, two bands. Now, the real result. You do not get two bands. You get many. Bright stripe, dark gap, bright stripe, dark gap, marching across the whole screen. And that pattern has a name and a very specific meaning. It is an interference pattern, and it is the unmistakable fingerprint of waves. The same screen now covered in many alternating bright and dark vertical stripes across its full width, labeled what actually happens, many bands. If waves are unfamiliar, picture a still pond. Drop two stones in and two sets of ripples spread out and cross each other. Where a peak from one meets a peak from the other, the water rises higher than either alone. Where a peak meets a trough, they flatten each other into nothing. Reinforce and cancel. Do that with light, and you get bright stripes where waves reinforce and dark ones where they cancel, which is exactly what the screen is showing us. Something here is behaving like a wave. A pond seen from above with two sets of circular ripples spreading and overlapping, one crossing point labeled peak plus peak, bigger, and another labeled peak plus trough, nothing. Now, you might have an objection, and it is a good one. We fired a whole crowd of particles at once. They're jostling, colliding, pushing each other around. Of course you get a mess. So let us remove the crowd entirely. We turn the source down until it releases a single particle at a time. One, then a pause, then one more. So slow that there is never more than one particle inside the apparatus. Nothing left to collide with. Now what? A source releasing a single small dot toward the two slits with a stopwatch beside it labeled one at a time, and the screen showing just one tiny mark where it landed. Each one arrives as a single dot on the screen, a pinprick in one place, like a particle. Then another dot, then another. Random, scattered, nothing obvious. But leave it running. Come back hours later, after enough dots have collected, and look at what they have built. The stripes, the exact same interference pattern assembled one lonely particle at a time. Sit with what that means, because it is the heart of this. Interference needs two waves to combine. But we sent them one at a time. There was nothing else in there. So each particle interfered with itself, which means each single particle somehow went through both slits as a spread of possibilities that took both routes and then combined on the way out. That is what physicists mean by superposition. Not one object magically in two places, but one set of possibilities traveling every available path at once, and those possibilities affecting each other. Fine, you say. Big claim. Let us check it. We put a tiny sensor at each slit, just enough to record which one the particle actually passed through. We change nothing else. Same source, same card, same screen. One particle at a time. Pause the video and make your prediction. What happens to the stripes? The stripes
vanish. You get two bands, the plain, sensible, boring result you predicted at the very start. Watch which slit it goes through, and it behaves like an ordinary particle taking one route. Stop watching, and the wave behavior returns instantly. The experiment gives a different answer depending on whether the path was recorded. Now, this is where popular explanations go badly wrong. You will hear that the universe knows you are looking, or that human consciousness collapses reality. That is not what happens, and the truth is better. To detect a particle, you must physically interact with it. Something has to bounce off it, absorb it, or be nudged by it. And the moment that happens, the particle state and your detector's state become tied together. You can no longer describe one without the other. That linkage is entanglement, and now the two journeys are no longer identical because one carries a stamp saying left and the other says right. Waves only cancel when they match perfectly. Mark them differently, and the canceling stops working. The stripes were never destroyed by a mind, they were destroyed by information escaping. Marked paths do not cancel. And if you still suspect a mind is involved somewhere, there's one more version of this experiment that settles it for good. Set it up with the detectors so the stripes have vanished, then add one extra step that scrambles the which way record before anybody could ever read it, so the path information is genuinely gone. The stripes come back. Nobody looked any differently. No consciousness did anything. The only thing that changed is whether the information about the path still existed anywhere in the world. Physicists call this a quantum eraser, and it is the cleanest evidence you will ever see that this is about information, not about minds. It is about information. And here is where this stops being a curiosity and starts mattering enormously. Your sensor is not special. Anything that records which way the particle went does this. A single stray particle of light bouncing off it, one air molecule bumping into it, a little warmth. The outside world is constantly, accidentally taking measurements, whether anyone intends it or not. That leaking away of delicate wave behavior is called decoherence, and it is precisely why quantum computers are buried inside shielded chambers, hanging in near-perfect vacuum, chilled colder than deep space. Those machines are not cold to run fast. They are cold and dark and isolated to stop the universe from accidentally peeking at the calculation. Decoherence. The world is always watching. One last thing, because it is easy to assume this only happens to impossibly tiny things. It has been done with electrons, with particles of light, with neutrons, with whole atoms, and with molecules built from dozens of atoms. The boundary between quantum behavior and ordinary behavior is not really about size. It's about how well you can keep something isolated before the world notices it. So here's the big picture, and notice that you now understand three ideas without a single equation. Superposition. A particle travels as possibilities that take every available path. Interference, those possibilities reinforce and cancel, and that's where the pattern comes from. Decoherence, the instant the outside world records anything, the delicate behavior collapses into something ordinary. Three labeled panels in a row. Superposition, showing a wave through both slits. Interference, showing the striped screen. Decoherence, showing the two plain bands, headed the three ideas. And a quantum computer, stripped of all the hype, is a machine built to do exactly this on purpose. Hold many possibilities open at once, make them interfere deliberately so the answers you want reinforce and the wrong ones cancel, and keep the universe from looking until the moment you are ready to read the result. So, when we said last time that these machines do not try every answer at once, this is the machinery behind that claim. Not a theory, not a metaphor, something you can build on a table that has been giving the same impossible answer for 200 years. The strangest part is not that nature behaves this way, it's that we found out and then built machines out of it. So, tell us in the comments, what should we sketch next?